Story time: how Buzz Aldrin ended up in the passenger seat of my car. So I was getting my master's in space policy from George Washington University back in like 2016. One of the classes I took was taught by Scott Pace, former associate administrator at NASA and then head of the Space Policy Institute at GW. It was a really cool evening seminar class where Scott brought in lots of fascinating guests come to lead discussions. One evening I was running late from work and was hustling my way into the Institute's conference room where the seminar took place. I noticed an older guy sitting in one of the lobby chairs, but he was facing the other way and I was late and didn't think too much of it. I sit down in class and we're going along with whatever the intended subject matter for that session was for a few minutes. Then the Institute's admin peeks her head into the room and says to Scott that he wanted to know if he could sit in. Scott says sure, and in walks Buzz frickin' Aldrin. Buzz sits down at the table and we talk about return to the moon and future Mars missions and whatnot. At the end of the class we all take a few pictures with Buzz and as we're all wrapping up he says, "Is anybody headed back towards NASA HQ?" Well, I had driven straight to class that evening from work and had snagged a parking spot right in front of the building, so despite me living the exact opposite direction from NASA HQ I immediately raise my hand and go, "I am." He says, "Could you give me a ride to the residence inn next to NASA HQ?" "Yeah, I can do that." So 5 minutes later, Buzz Aldrin is sitting in the passenger seat of my Ford Fusion headed to NASA HQ and I'm trying to figure out what to talk about with him that might not be something he's discussed 10,000 times before. After a few seconds of silence I'm eventually like F it and ask him specifically about the lunar landing and how Neil had to navigate the lander to a better spot. I don't think that was a particularly unique question, but at least it wasn't "So what was the moon like, Arnie-ho?" He gives me some answer. We chat for another 10ish minutes as we head to NASA HQ and I drop him off at his hotel and head on my way. I still have this car, so if you ever find yourself in the passenger seat, you'll be able to say that you've sat in the same seat as Buzz Aldrin.